The newest wokest phase of the MCU has been a bit of a disaster for Marvel so far. They were hoping that WandaVision would pull in crazy numbers for Disney Plus, and it didn't. They were hoping that Falcon and Winter Soldier would be a good way to show how they plan to carry on the legacy of Captain America, and it didn't impress fans, and we can hope that they're not going to screw up movies like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness or Spider-Man. But Hawkeye is the newest Marvel show on Disney Plus, and it's doing terribly for Disney. I have a couple of different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month or supporting via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So I wanted to start with this Cosmic Book News article, and it says, Woke Hawkeye huge fail on Disney Plus. It says more bad news for Disney Plus and Marvel, and it has learned the Woke Hawkeye series is a huge fail and is presently performing as the worst of the live-action MCU shows on the streaming service. Now, there's only a couple of episodes out, so maybe as the season goes on, viewership will go up, who knows, but usually for new shows at the beginning, that's when you're going to see the highest viewership because people have been really excited for the series, it's been highly anticipated. But unfortunately for Marvel, the numbers just aren't there right now. It says Hawkeye, which stars Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, who replaces Jeremy Renner's character in the MCU, basically a guest star on his own show, was watched by a whopping 40% less than Loki, the previous live-action MCU show on Disney+. Now, when it comes to the MCU shows, I personally haven't been that big of a fan. I've watched them all, I've tried to give them a shot, but they've just been really lackluster. WandaVision was pretty cool at the beginning. I liked a lot of the references and the unique style they went for. I felt like the direction was pretty cool, but unfortunately, I felt like the ending in Doctor Strange not being there was kind of mediocre, and the reasons for Doctor Strange not showing up was absolutely ridiculous, because they didn't want a man taking over a woman's show. When it comes to Falcon and Winter Soldier, I tried to watch it and I got through all of it, but it was so disappointing. I personally wasn't that excited for it at the beginning, but wow, was that worse than I thought it was gonna be. And Loki was just another mediocre show. When it comes to a character like Hawkeye, in my opinion, I've never been a huge fan of Hawkeye. I say it all the time, but why would I want to watch a guy with a bow and arrow or a character like Black Widow when I could watch a god of thunder and sorcerers with time magic? There's just so many cool characters, and Hawkeye's just really basic and kind of boring. I still was hoping that the show would highlight, cool things about the character and it would have really great writing, but it's just so underwhelming so far. So the info comes from Samba TV via Deadline, who measures streaming service viewership, where the first episode number for Hawkeye trails the 5-day US household viewership figure for Loki by 40%. And we're talking about Marvel here, so it's not like they're gonna only have 200,000 or 300,000 viewers for a show, but it's not doing that great. It says Loki was watched by 2.5 million homes, while Hawkeye was only watched by 1.5, and the number is also less than Falcon and the Winter Soldier at 1.8 and WandaVision 1.6. But it gets even worse for Marvel, because it says what is also alarming for Hawkeye is that the second episode saw a drop of 200,000 viewers, as only 1.3 million stuck around to watch episode 2, but both the first and second episodes were released at the same time on Disney+, so that means 200,000 Marvel fans didn't like the first episode and decided not to watch the next episode. This is absolutely hilarious, because both of the episodes went up at once. Most people probably were thinking, oh, I'm just gonna watch them both at once, but it seems like a lot of people were not interested after the first episode and decided, you know what, I'm just gonna watch episode 2 another time, or not at all. Now, I don't want to roast Hawkeye too hard here, because clearly they're taking an L on the show right now, but as it says, Hawkeye was only watched by 1.5 million households for the first episode and 1.3 for the second, and I just want to compare that to one of the worst shows to release in the past few years, Batwoman, because hilariously, Batwoman's viewership was higher than Hawkeye. Now, Batwoman, of course, season 1 came out. She wasn't an established character. A lot of people were going to try to give it a chance, thinking, you know what, maybe it'll be an okay show. But these numbers were better than Hawkeye's, and Hawkeye is an established character in the MCU. People have seen him around for a couple of years, but apparently that's just not good enough for people. If we look at season 1 numbers, season 1, episode 1, 1.86, almost 1.9 million viewers, and Hawkeye's first episode drew in 1.5. 400,000 viewers less than Batwoman Season 1, Episode 1. And if we look at Hawkeye, second episode, it had 1.3 million viewers. And for Batwoman, it had 1.45. So both of these episode numbers are higher than Hawkeye's premiere numbers. And we don't know as the season progresses if Hawkeye's viewership will go up, maybe if people will try to give it another chance, if people are waiting for the full season to be out, but ultimately these numbers are not very good. But the article says the news about Hawkeye isn't too surprising as fans don't want their favorite original characters replaced. It says I did watch the first couple of episodes and didn't think too highly of them. I just can't see Kate Bishop as a replacement for Clinton Barton, who has been basically trained to be an assassin, while Bishop received little to no training in my opinion. Sure, the beginning montage showed her being trained, we were told who she was, and then quite laughably we were shown her climbing buildings and fencing and beat up bad guys, but it didn't come across as organic and didn't sell me at all on Kate Bishop. This is a problem. They went into this Hawkeye show, and it's not what a lot of people expected. They're bringing Kate Bishop in, and we knew that they were going to do that, but a lot of people thought they were going to phase her in throughout the series. Maybe we'd see her a little bit in the first couple episodes, then, the amount of screen time she got would increase, but no, the first episode, right off the bat, she is a major part of the series, which a lot of people seem to not like. Scrolling down, though, it says, again, just like Disney Star Wars, it's all in investor reports. Disney's most recent investor report shows that no one is subscribing to Disney Plus, and I did talk about that in a previous video, but it says the Marvel and Star Wars brands aren't bringing anyone into Disney Plus. It says, though, Disney, here's a hint, stop with the woke BS and stop replacing characters, and it goes on to show the Avengers that are replaced, who they're being replaced by, and kind of the general direction that Marvel is going in with the next phase. Unfortunately, it's not a direction that I really support. I'm not a huge fan of all these plans and movies and shows they've announced. I feel like they're losing that magic that the MCU has always had, and over the years, we've definitely seen pretty bad MCU movies, but these next couple that they've got lined up truly sound terrible. So I'm not going to read all of the Avengers that have been replaced, but it says something like, Iron Man killed off, primarily because Disney didn't want to pay Robert Downey Jr. anymore and they couldn't recast him, but he was replaced by a POC teen Ironheart who steals Iron Man tech and for some reason is allowed to keep it, which makes absolutely no sense to the story whatsoever. You've got Thor became fat, goofy Thor, and female Thor Natalie Portman is appearing in Love and Thunder. The only reason why I will give that movie a chance is because it's Asgardians and because it's Thor, and at the end he's going to become worthy again, most likely, if they're following the comic book story. Then you've got Captain America replaced with Falcon with no powers, while the obvious choice was Bucky. Just lots of bad moves and decisions that they're making with the MCU. And then, of course, we've got things like Captain Marvel, not excited for that. You've got Shang-Chi, Eternals. It's a mess. The MCU is just an absolute disaster right now, at least in my opinion. Now, over the years, I've liked Marvel shows and movies, and I want the MCU to be great like it once was, but at the same time, they need to stop throwing away the good characters to replace them with more diverse options. Diversity is great, but when you're replacing great characters with mediocre ones, diversity isn't enough to save shows and movies. I'm gonna continue to watch Hawkeye. Maybe by the end of the season, I'll have a different opinion on it. Maybe it'll be amazing, but only time will tell. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.